Hi, welcome to this week's Third Party Thursday. My name is Brandon Cooper and I'm the Chief Risk Officer here at VenMinder. Today we're going to be talking about the basics of due diligence. Basically, you must know with whom you are doing business. Think of it this way. You're required to verify the ID of each new customer. That same threshold should apply to all business relationships. Due diligence is both a science and an art. By that, I mean there are times when not everything will be available and you have to get creative. There are some general practices to follow that will make due diligence as meaningful as possible. Let's think about the basic facets of due diligence. It should be risk-based and reasonable. For example, if one of your service providers is the guy who mows the lawn, you obviously aren't going to ask him for an SSAE 18 report. The request list and the nature of items should match the service provided. One element of due diligence may well lead you to ask for others. For example, if you're looking for a call center's compliance policies and they refer to the training materials, you're likely going to need those as well. The due diligence should be done, at least as much as possible, pre-contract, and that means well prior to the contract being executed, perhaps even as much as 90 days, not just in a frantic effort to get things done to hit a supposed contract date. There can be times where you can't complete due diligence prior to the contract. Some items you may even have to contractually oblige them to provide, but make sure you document it and commit them to supply it as soon as reasonably possible. A few examples are things like evidence of audits, financials, customer records. It's understandable they want to hold on to those, but at the same time, if you need them, make sure the contract provides you the avenue to obtain them. Due diligence should be timely. This is a common pitfall that we've turned into a best practice. One of the things that's easy to get stale dated is the financial reports. If you simply lock due diligence onto a particular month on the calendar, you could be looking at financials that are a year old. So we changed it and set it up so that we initiated due diligence cycle 90 days after their fiscal year end. That way, we're always certain to have the most up-to-date information. There may be times from a workload standpoint that you have to do some real juggling, especially if there are hundreds or even thousands of third parties to review. But we try to get the financials as the most timely item, and it's certainly paid off many times. Due diligence must be thorough. Believe me, it's easy to cut corners, but that can lead to some very ugly surprises, particularly if you followed a checklist mentality and just obtained the document without adequately reviewing it. Due diligence must be ongoing. This became an actual requirement in 2013 when the OCC issued its updated guidance, but it's always been a sound business practice. Now, this doesn't mean that everything has to constantly be being updated, but it should be tracked so that major documents and major milestones are not missed. The life cycle approach to due diligence can be kind of a grind, as this diagram shows, but it can also be a well-oiled machine. So to recap, your due diligence should be risk-based and reasonable. The request list and the nature of items should match the service provided. You should do as much due diligence pre-contract as you can, and due diligence should be timely. Due diligence must be thorough, and due diligence must be ongoing. Again, I'm Brandon, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the Third Party Thursday series.